Just what is the importance of safety, a sense of security in a child's life? Well, in this segment, we're going to be talking with Rachel Quast, who is an instructor of inner city kids who have been basically dumped into an at-risk high school because they were unable to survive in a regular high school academic environment. They had behaviors that were too aggressive. They simply failed year after year in high school. They, were simply unable to cope with a regular high school experience, almost in every case because of severe neglect as children of basic needs. What are those needs? Well, we're talking about that. Thank you so much for being with us, Rachel.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
You're from the great city in the Midwest of Milwaukee. What are the reasons why children have a need for security and safety? What does that represent? Is it only physical?
Oh, no. It's definitely, it is an emotional need. Children need to feel like there's a place where they can just let their guard down. The world today, there is much trauma going around. There's gang activity, there's drug soliciting, there's pressures to have premarital sex. There's all types of environments, depending on which neighborhood that the child lives in, that really create a really difficult place for children and teens to cope nowadays. So it is extremely important to go home and have a place where they can let their guard down.
You yourself nearly died of anorexia.
Correct.
As a child, because you had no sense of safety and security, even in a beautiful home with a dad that was a very successful businessman and a mom that would stay at home, right?
Correct. I had the physical needs met, but I did not have the emotional needs met.
So, of security.
Correct.
How does that work?
Because in my home environment, my father was not quite predictable as far as what mood he would be in. It would depend on the stressors that went on the day. So it could be okay to laugh one day and the next day not. It could be okay to ask for a need or say, I need whatever the need is, and the other day I'd be like, what now? So there wasn't that sense of, I'm in a safe place here. This is a place where I can let my guard down. I always felt like I was on guard at home.
Very successful parents
Correct.
Can provide dangerous, not safe environments emotionally.
Yes, and that's a falsehood that we live under because, again, from the outside, people see success as money, car, house, and a good job and say, now there's a great place to live. But they don't see what's going on inside. Or inside the person's heart.
There's divorce today, so half of kids go through a divorce, and that's very unsettling.
Correct.
But even if the parents are there, what is that like to be safe? What is that like?
Mm-hmm. There needs to be a sense of consistency, meaning that there are set boundaries, there are rules, there's predictability that the child can know what's going to happen. If something is always different or chaotic, then that the child will always need to be on guard. The child is very important for the child to be able to make mistakes. That does bring a sense of safety for that person. That mistake, oh well, let's just work on that together, rather than, oh, look at you just did, and then it's made a big deal. Mistakes are okay. We all make them. Failures are nothing to cry about. Just a quick other couple components.
Sure.
Things that I see with children in my school is that oftentimes that they're bounced from person to person. They may be staying with an aunt, or now the father, now the mother, now just a guardian or a grandmother. There aren't consistent people in their life. That bouncing around definitely creates that sense of unsafety.
And when that happens, every new adult has his own rules, his
Right.
own way of acting, his own emotional set.
Right.
You had talked earlier about your dad and the emotional changes. Do kids look for a certain emotional tone in order to feel safe?
The emotional consistency is very important. It's okay if a person gets angry, if a parent gets angry. That's not the bad thing. It's the way the parent expresses that. It's who the parent expresses it to. It's not okay to spank out of anger. It's not okay to yell at your kid out of anger. What a parent needs to do is to take a time out, collect the person's thoughts. This is not only with parents to children, but an adult to another adult. Step away, collect your thoughts, then come back and say what you really need to say from I statements. I feel angry because.
What we're looking for here is emotional maturity.
Correct.
In
Yes.
adults,
Yes.
in your counseling and in your teaching school,
Yes.
with at-risk kids, do you find that the caregivers, parents, whatever, a lot of kids are not even with parents that you deal with, right? That they almost all get there because the caregivers did not exercise emotional maturity in
Yes.
the environment, so that you're basically dealing with kids that never grew up that are
Yes.
now adults?
Very, very true. We oftentimes we have adults, but they still have that little child within that is still that is the child within is actually parenting the child. They go back to whatever memories or whatever pains, and they parent out of that rather than parenting out of what does this child need. Oftentimes they parent out of pain. Instead, as a parent, it's very, very crucial that you look at the child from what they need, not what you need.
Okay. And some people will use children for their own emotional needs
Oh, very
instead of
much.
be available for the needs of the child.
Yes, they do that quite often. Whether it's the parent depends on the child to be their mini counselor. They dump on their child about what's going on for the day. And sometimes parents use the children as somebody to control. That they get their sense of power because the child is now the one they control. Or a parent has their unlived life, and then they live through their children. Like, say a parent wanted to be a track star. Now all of a sudden their child is a track star because they never got to be.
Or the gorgeous model. So
Right, correct.
mom takes a 15-year-old to Victoria's Secret and dresses her out.
Oh, yes. You know, that happens way too often, and I'm very familiar with that because of being on the other side of helping people with eating disorders. I hear stories about how dad says, oh, you look too fat, oh, you need to lose weight, or the mom that tries to keep her child looking model-like because she wanted to be recognized for her beauty, but she never got that. So now she's going to live through her daughter and try to control, or the father will try to control the daughter's weight or the son's weight.
Thank you very much, Rachel. And if you'd like to know more about parenting and the 6 needs of all children, do go to tomorrowonline.org. We got some great articles there for you about this, as well as do get your free copy or your free subscription to the Good News Magazine. It is a magazine of understanding in which we deal with these basic issues of parenting, how parenting works, and how you can succeed. We'll be right back. We'll be talking more about the 6 basic needs.